Okay, it is now 9:07 a.m. on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. And I call to order this meeting of the Maine Gambling Control Board. My name is Steve Silver. I am the board chair. Before we go any further, I'll just explain the circumstances under which we're holding this meeting. This is a hybrid meeting, so the physical location of this meeting is at 45 Commerce Drive in Augusta, Maine. It's our second meeting in the beautiful new boardroom. We also have a remote option. So you can see there's a number of folks on Zoom, including one board member who's participating in accordance with board member remote participation policy, which was adopted, and I'm looking at the date, which is so shocking, 2021, 2021. So the board expects that members of the public will have the same opportunity to participate as those in the room with us. Also, the Gambling Control Unit, on behalf of the board, post notices of this conference, of this meeting, with the agenda on its website, which works because I checked it out beforehand. Also, the unit will send agendas in advance. So if you're not getting agendas and you want to, talk to Director Champion, he'll get you set up with that. And so at this time, I'll introduce the other board members, confirm that we have a quorum. I actually think we're all here, which might be the first in a long time. So when I call your name, just identify yourself and where you're from in Maine. And I'll start to my left, Ms. Bickmore.
Kelly Bickmore, Cape Elizabeth, Maine.
Chief March.
Good morning, everyone. Noel March, Hamden, Maine.
Shane Boynton.
Darcy Maine Boynton, Hamden, Maine.
And Joe, looks like you're on Zoom.
Yes, Joe Hanslip from Sanford. Good morning, everyone.
All right, so we are all here. So let's dive in. First, the approval of minutes from August 19th, 2025. Any edits, suggestions? Look fine to me. All right, so need a motion to approve the minutes from August 19th, 2025.
Second.
And Joe, you can sit this one out because you weren't there in August.
Right.
But Chief March,
Aye.
Ms. Bickmore,
Aye.
Ms. Maine Boynton.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Approved. All right, and with that, we will turn to the operations report from our Deputy Director, Matthew Motti.
Morning, my name is Matthew Motti, Deputy Director of Gambling Control Unit, and this is the operations report for October 28th, 2025. In August, there were 5 shipments of machines and/or associated equipment shipped to or from licensed facilities. September, there were 5. There were 125 work orders completed in August and 82 in September, which range from new game installations, removal, change of themes, options, and communication issues. There were 64 entries in the inspector pass-down log in August and 50 in September to share information not only within the facility, but between the 2 facilities. In August, there was 1 formal complaint, and in September, there were 5, with status updates reported in the complaint dashboard. 15 consent agreements are being completed by the Assistant Attorney Generals, 4 under review by the Investigative Committee, 3 dismissed for insufficient gravity to warrant a formal investigation, and 3 are being responded to by the facilities. There was 1 patron complaint. Self-exclusions in June and July, there were 24 1-years, and in September and August, there was 18 1-year. In June and July, 3 years, there were 2, and for August and September, there were 3 3-years. In June and July, there were 3 5-years, and August and September, there were 3 5-years as well. There was 5 in June and July, lifetime, and there were 5 also in August and September, lifetime. The total as of July 25th, there were 106 1-year, and in the end of September, there was 109 1-year. In July 2025, there were 43 years. And in the end of September, there were 41 3-years. In July of 2025, there were 68 5-year and 70 5-year in September. And totaling in July 2025, there was 274. And as of September, there were 278 lifetimes. Lori Manson from AdCare gave the following information regarding calls to 211 from August and September of 2025. Helpline calls, there were 152. 94 calls were entered into the client database system. 19 were from problem gambling intakes. 15 were from problem gamblers. 4 were calls from others. And of those calls, 8 were from males. 7 were from females, and none were from veterans. By age bracket, 18 to 24, there was 3. 25 to 34, there were none. 35 to 44, there were 5. 45 to 54, there was 1. 55 to 64, there were 3. And 65 and older, there were 2. There was 5 of unknown age, and of all of them, 3 were from casino, 2 were from lottery, 2 from sports wagering, 4 online gaming, and 3 all others. Oxford Police reports 28 calls in August and September 2025, some of which were 1 arrest, 4 illegal activity, 9 medical, 4 suspicious activity, 1 possible intoxication, 5 potential driving under the influence, and 1 undesirable conduct. Bangor PD reported 38 calls in August and September 2025, some of which were 4 under the influence, 4 welfare checks, 1 fraud, 1 informational, 5 police department crash reports, 4 open line 911 calls, 9 escorted off property, 2 animal issues, 2 lost and found property, and 6 miscellaneous. That concludes the operations report for October 28th, 2025.
Thank you. Any questions for Deputy Director Motti?
I just, and I don't know if this is the proper point in the meeting to ask, I'm just curious from Lori, how those calls for problem gambling outreach have been trending. I don't have sort of the history of that, but
How about if I email you a spreadsheet afterwards?
if you do it for all of us, if
Yeah.
you don't mind, that'd be great. Just kind of want to see how that's going. It seems like it's a pretty even spread across demographic and age and so forth, but be curious about that. Thank you.
Is piggybacking on that, since we're talking to Lori, I know it says like online gambling, but in terms of the prediction markets, that we've seen that yet, or we're too early?
Well, keep in mind, I don't answer the helpline. However, as a problem gambling services coordinator and people call me, I'm definitely seeing that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, any other questions? And might be, I don't know if it's for you, Deputy Director or AGs, but it looks like 15 consent agreements is quite a lot. Are they all related incidents, or these are actually?
No, and I have some, I'm gonna report it in
Okay.
my section, yeah,
All right,
a little bit.
all right. Any other questions? Okay, let's move to financial report from our auditor, Amanda Spencer.
Hello, everyone. Amanda Spencer, Maine Gambling Control Unit. For the months of August and September 2025, tax revenue collected from both casinos for the state of Maine increased by 11.23%, or by $657,000 in August 2025, and increased by 6.75%, or by $377,000 in September 2025 compared to the same month Total tax revenues collected from both casinos so far during 2025 was $52.6 million, which is an increase of 3.14% or by $1.6 million compared to the same time in the prior year. Specifically by casino, Oxford Casino reported a total net win of 7.61% from slot machines and 18.79% from table games for August 2025. They reported a total net win of 7.95% from slot machines and 23.97% from table games for September 2025. Hollywood, reported a total net win of 8.29% from slot machines and 22.78% from table games for August 2025. They reported a total net win from slot machines of 8.69% and 25.14% from table games for September 2025. In the area of advanced deposit wagering, revenue increased by 77.9% or by $16,000 in August of 2025 and increased by 60% or by $9,000 in September 2025 compared to the same months last year. This was mostly due to the addition of 2 new operators, Churchill Downs and ExpressBet. Total tax revenue collected from out-of-state and in-state races so far this year was $243,000, which is an increase of 47.4% or $78,000 compared to the same time last year. That concludes my financial report.
Any questions for Ms. Spencer? One small note, in September on the report, for Hollywood, it lists a small amount of money on electronic table games. You know where that's from? 7984 table game revenue.
I think it's, I don't handle Hollywood, but I think didn't they stop that or?
Yeah, there's 0 electronic table games, so it's, I don't know where those few dollars came from, but maybe it's belongs on a different line.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Okay.
I mentioned it to you. Yeah, I'll follow up on that.
You said that there were 2 for advanced deposit wagering, Churchill Downs, and what was the other business that was added since last September?
ExpressBet. Since last year, ExpressBet.
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 All right. Thank you. All right, we'll turn to our Executive Director, Milton Champion, for his reports.
Morning, everyone. So a little bit of a rulemaking update. As we all know, we worked on chapter 13 for some time. That was adopted effective October 4th. And rulemaking is now underway for ADW fantasy and sports wagering under chapter 13 guidance, which of course is overseen by the board. Chapter 19A should be published for adoption tomorrow. We'll follow up on that. That's for the establishment of independent laboratories for our testing. I just got that the documents back from the Attorney General's office on Friday. We got it over to the Secretary of State's office, so I'm hoping it'll either be published tomorrow or at the very latest. They do publish them on Wednesdays. It will be next Wednesday. So that's where we're at with that. We do have 6 consent agreements for board review at the December meeting. I just got those this morning. Obviously too late to get it in front of you for this morning's meeting. So we will have those ready, those 6 consent agreements ready for you in December, with 9 being worked out. The supply, I apologize. I supplied the wrong financial reports until this morning. You did have the hard copies in front of you. Actually, what I submitted was what Amanda, her report comes from. We are now only seeing increases. We're not only seeing increases in revenue for casino and ADW activity, but as an FYI, we're also seeing an increase in the area of sports wagering, which year to date is up by 14%. After today's meeting, we have the distinct pleasure of moving out of our offices yet one more time. We're moving down the hall to a temporary office. Some of us will be working from home. This is in order for them to come in and clean the vents here on this side of the building. And we're kind of hoping that by the December meeting, they'll have that finished, but we all know how construction and cleaning goes. So we'll let you know. If the meeting's not in this particular room here, we'll have it at the Champlain conference room on the other side of the building. The unit met with GLI to get an explanation on the reporting of blown meters. And I would like to meet with casino management after the board meeting to discuss what we found out and get a better explanation of these apparent adjustments. So please stay after the meeting and we can discuss that further. And that's my report.
Any questions for Director Champion?
You know what? Let me add one more thing. I do have an agency bill in to stop sweepstakes, as I think we're up to 6 or 8 other states have already passed legislation to stop the sweepstakes situation. If you're aware of it or not aware of it, I think the last report I saw where, and I don't know how true it is, but they were saying that there was like 60 operators allegedly operating in Maine and taking people's money and all this sort of thing. So I did use New York's bill, their language. So we're hoping we'll be able to get this passed in the next session. And that will make any sweepstakes operations in Maine illegal. So just to throw
You
that
mean-
out there.
Internet sweepstakes.
Yes, yes.
What, if anything, is being done regarding the prediction markets, which seemingly be offering unlicensed sports betting?
Nothing really at this point. It's really hard. I mean, I've seen a lot of states, you know, they'll send these cease and desist letters. Some are going through lawsuits and that sort of thing. And I can't imagine that's going to take a lot of time. You know, cease and desist letters are one thing. These guys are really good at what they do. It's been my experience that they'll have, you know, they'll name it onething.com, and then when they have a cease and desist letter, they automatically change that .com to another name, and they continue their operation. So it's really, really time consuming. And some of these other states where the you know, upwards of 120 commission members, they obviously have a lot more staff and bigger population and all that sort of thing to for lack of a better term, attack these illegal activities. But we're doing the best we can, you know, to be a part of that. So.
Sure. And I don't know where it originates, from the AG's office or from your office. I mean, Massachusetts is in litigation right now.
Yeah.
Seems every day there's another state that's in a new lawsuit against, you know, significant companies that are offering this stuff.
Yeah, and I think the Attorney General in Maine collaborated with other states. Maybe, Phil, you give a little bit of an update on that. There was some.
Right, back in June, Maine joined an amici brief for litigation in the Third Circuit concerning Nevada and Ohio against Kalshi, which is a prediction market company. That's as much as I know regarding the AG's involvement in that.
Okay. Any other questions for Director Champion? All right. All right, so with that, we have a couple licenses, well, 3 renewals and 1 initial. Turn to that, we'll take the initial first, which is from Gaming Partners International for a license as a table games distributor. Which I understand, no, I'm wrong. They were licensed, it lapsed, so this is a new initial instead of.
Yes, typically if a business entity allows their license to expire by not submitting And we asked for renewals to be in, I believe it's 60 days in advance. So that we're able to go through, their application in time. Some obviously let them expire, and when they do, then they have to submit an initial. So this is the case here with GPI. This could develop into a potential violation, but we'll see.
Yeah, as in they were operating with a lapsed license.
No, they were not.
Oh.
No. They were advised, the facilities were advised as well, so they were not taking any more orders. And I believe GPI does cards, dice, layouts, that sort of thing for table games.
Okay. All right. Well, we will be reviewing the application of Gaming Partners International to be licensed as a table games distributor pursuant to 8 MRSA Section 1001 at SEC. This is not an adjudicatory proceeding, instead receiving an opinion from board staff supported by evidence obtained during the investigation. We'll also provide each applicant and the public an opportunity to be heard. So you have all the information in the Dropbox regarding their application. So with that, is there anyone here from GPI? Okay. Before we proceed, I'm sure Assistant Attorney General Mantis has some questions.
Let's go. Does any member of the board have any reason such as personal bias or conflict of interest that would prevent him or her from rendering an impartial decision? Hearing none, does any other person present at the hearing believe that there's any reason that would prevent any board member from rendering an impartial decision in the matter? Or does any other person present at the hearing have objections to any pre-hearing proceedings? So please stand or raise your virtual hand, raise your real hand. State your objection on the basis of that objection. Seeing and hearing none, you may proceed.
Okay. So Executive Director Champion, do you have any additional information to share with the board?
No.
And do you have any recommendations to the board regarding this application?
Recommend approval.
Anyone have any questions for Director Champion? Any public comment on this application? If you're on Zoom, you can use the raise your hand button. All right, anyone in the room? Okay. Is there a motion on the application of Gaming Partners International USA Inc., doing business as GPI USA Inc., for licensure as a table games distributor?
Move to approve.
Okay, thank you. Do we need any discussion? Okay, all right, let's take a vote then. So voting in the affirmative will be to approve the license. So start with you, Ms. Bickmore.
Aye.
Chief March.
Aye.
Ms. May Boynton.
Aye.
Mr. Hanslip.
Aye.
Okay, I am an aye as well. So having met all the requirements of licensing pursuant to Title 8, Chapter 31, Gaming Partners International USA Inc. will be licensed as a table games distributor in the state of Maine. We thank them for wanting to keep doing business here. So with that, we have 3 slot distributor renewals. I'll say for all of them, again, we're reviewing the applications. This is not an adjudicatory proceeding. The board is relying upon material, some of which is confidential. Others can be made public. So if somebody has requests for that, direct it to Director Champion. But I guess we'll take these in turn. We're gonna do separate votes, but I'll turn it back to you, Attorney General Mantis.
Sure. Does any member of the board have any reason such as personal bias or conflict of interest that would prevent him or her from rendering an impartial decision in these matters? No. Does any other person present at the hearing believe that there is any reason that would prevent any board member from rendering impartial decisions in these matters? Or does any other person present at the hearing have such objections? So raise your hand, virtual hand, say your objection, reason for the objection. Seeing and hearing none.
All right. Director Champion, any additional information board should know?
No.
Um, and do you have a recommendation for these three?
For each one, yeah, to approve. They're fine.
All right, so let's take them in turn. So the first would be to approve the slot distributor renewal license for Aristocrat Technologies, Inc. Thank you. Second. Right? Any discussion needed? Okay, any public comment on the Aristocrat? Okay, let's take a vote. Ms. Bickmore,
Aye.
Chief March,
Aye.
Ms. Van Boynton.
Aye.
Mr. Hanslip,
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. So, Aristocrat Technologies, Inc. Will have their slot distributor license renewed. Next up will be AGS LLC. This is for their small slot distributor renewal license. Do I have a motion to approve the renewal for AGS?
Second.
Oh, give it to Chief March. Okay. Any public comment on the AGS renewal? Okay, let's take a vote. Ms. Bickmore,
Aye.
Chief March.
Aye.
Ms. Van Boynton.
Aye.
Mr. Hanslip,
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. AGS will have their small slot distributor license renewed. And then last up is the slot distributor license renewal for L&W Gaming Inc., which Light and Wonder is the. All right, any discussion needed on this? Any public comment on L&W's application? Okay, do I have a motion to approve this renewal?
Moved.
All right. Thank you. Okay, we'll take a vote. Ms. Bickmore,
Aye.
March,
Aye.
Ms. Van Boynton.
Aye.
Mr. Hanslip,
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. So L&W Gaming will have their slot distributor license renewed, and we thank all of the applicants for continuing to do business in Maine. All right, moving on. Whole bunch of things to talk about. No unfinished business. We do have a piece of new business, which is would be, if approved, resolution 17 involving contract delegation. Director Champion, do you want to walk us through this?
Yeah, so I got with Phil and Reed from the Attorney General's office, and I requested that they put together a resolution 17, which will give limited delegation of authority to the director to enter into contracts. Prior years, I actually have a list of contracts that we've had in the past. And they were, some of those were like Scientific Games contract when we had Center for Monitoring, ADW contract when we only had one ADW operator. We've had a couple of hearings with a hearing officer, and we've had some trainings, which obviously have to have contracts completed for those. But we're getting down to where we're realistically only having one or two contracts. Obviously, Whipfly is the financial contractor that does our financial reviews. So they would be one contract that we would continue to keep. And then in the next agenda item, if you approve resolution 17, I think we can take B off the agenda. But B basically is asking for approval for a pre-qualified vendor, Gaming Integrity Services, to do our casino business entities and our key executives. Gaming Integrity Services is right now contracted with us to do our sports wagering, background checks, and our fantasy contest applications as well. So they've done an excellent job. They give a thorough review, and they give a final report similar to what Whipfly does. So in their operations or their administering of the contract, they would be providing a final report as well to the board on each one of the initial applications that they review. I may use them for renewals, but it depends really on the 5 questions that's asked in the renewal application as to whether or not I would ask for their assistance. So again, we're down to basically 2 contracts now. And so I just didn't, was just wondering if you just want me to handle those. Because it sounds like, or it seems to me that they would continue to be, we've had Whipfly long before I was here. So Whipfly has been the continued contract business to do these financial reviews. So this would start, our ability for Gaming Integrity Services to do the business backgrounds. The other part that I would say I like about Gaming Integrity Services is they have a lot of, I don't know if it's databases or resources, I'll say, to look at some of these companies that are international companies, operating over in the UK and that sort of thing. And they have some collaboration to get some reports that we wouldn't get from just our unit staff here. So so I'm kind of putting A and B together, but with A's approval, I think I can just go ahead and proceed with this.
Are these being put out to bid? These contracts?
The pre-qualified vendor is basically, several years ago, I discovered that we could put out an RFP for pre-qualified vendors. There were 2 responses, Gaming Integrity Services and Gaming Laboratory International. And so when we have these contracts like this, I can do what's called a mini bid, where I reach out to the 2 pre-qualified vendors and they reply as to what the contract is asking for. And in this particular case, in this item B, obviously Gaming Integrity Services does background investigations where Gaming Laboratory does not. And so they responded. That's part of the mini bid process. And GIS obviously is able to do that. Procurement, as these are 5-year contracts, so about every 5 years, procurement may ask us if this is, if the cost is substantial, whether or not substantial, where it's a lower cost, that sort of thing. But as far as pre-qualified vendors, we have never gone like beyond that. So it's just it's simpler, I guess, simpler of a process versus going out and actually having a full-blown request for proposal. So procurement keeps an eye on it, for sure. Make sure we get the best, the best price.
I have 2 thoughts on the draft resolution. One, I think we created this 3-year period for others. It's not we could change it, right? Of course. My one thought is to make this 1 year so we can check in to see if you even have more than 1 or 2 contracts in the next year. And the other would be to put a monetary threshold, which I don't know what it would be. Something that would have to be major, like 500,000 or I don't even know if we have contracts above that right now, but something that if it's that significant, I think the board would want to see what's going on, whether it's $1 million, whether it's 500,000, something.
Right.
Don't need to see. I'm sure it's less than 6 figures for the hearing officer, things like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think, like the hearing officer, I don't think I've ever brought that contract before the board because it's 10,000, something like that. And that's just for the hearing. So I've not typically brought those before the board. Because
to
there's
the extent there is something in the future that's really significant, that's, it's going to draw attention as to, well, why did $1 million go to this company or not this one?
Right.
prefer it to come before us versus, well, they'll just pick one, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know what threshold you all wanna, that was my thought. And then we typically do the resolutions for 3 years. We can do it for 3. We can do it for 1, check in next year, see how much activity there really is. Can always renew it for a longer period. After that.
And again, I mean, there's only 2 contracts right now. I'm not sure when the Whitfly track expires. So that'll go out
Yeah.
for a bid type thing. The Whitfly is not a pre-qualified vendor. So that would constitute an RFP and putting it out, where the other side of this, these ones that we could do through a mini bid are all from pre-qualified vendors. So. And the casino side of things, the casino activity is pretty well established. We're not going to get a whole lot of initials. We see more so renewals because, you know, we've been operating since 2004. So there's not like there's going to be this big increase in initial applications like, say, in the area of sports wagering. So, I mean, it's not a lot. If you want to just let me bring them each one back to you, that's fine as well. It's up to you.
No, I would just change my recommendation to change resolution 17 for an expiration date for 1 year, which if we want to renew, it's a simple vote. And then insert a cap, $500,000. So if there's a contract with total value above that.
Right.
Come for us.
I'm curious, what's the value of the Whitfly contract at present?
I doubt it's more than that.
No, typically they'll start out at say 50,000 or 100,000. And then depending on the activity, I may have to put an amendment in if I've used all those funds, then I would put an amendment in, which procurement would have to
Authorize.
approve, and it would
Or
add
sure.
on another 50,000 or something of that nature. Whitfly. So Whitfly started out at 10,000. And there's been amendments.
All it is at the rate we're going, in 6 months, we could have a totally different gaming landscape. So,
Yeah, it's really hard to tell.
But is 500,000 conservative enough?
it could be anything.
Right.
Could be lower. The point is, I don't really want to see basic administrative contracts.
I mean, the biggest contract that we would have coming up would be the licensing and portal system. I haven't seen numbers anywhere near quarter million, right? It's always been 100,000 or less. A lot of them are in the 60,000, 70,000, but 500,000?
Yes. That's,
You know.
I would agree, 250 or 300.
Okay. 250 is fine.
250 for a cap. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be something significant that would go over that to.
They getting all this, Phil? Yeah.
I think it's only
Not too
two,
much.
it's only 2 changes. It's
Yeah,
just-
so an expiration date of October 28th, 2026. Cap.
I think that makes sense, and we can re-examine
Good with
next
that.
year.
And well,
Our GLI
you
training.
you can examine it anytime, but after this particular contract, other than like a Whitfly renewal, I doubt that we'll have any, to be honest with you. I don't think we.
Fine.
Yeah.
So that's the
GLI
point,
training.
but I don't want some surprise, and there's some big thing awarded, and I got somebody calling me asking, why'd you do this? Yeah,
For
so,
example, we're trying to do for the casinos, We're trying to get live scan in each casino so we can get through their applications much quicker and efficiently without having errors and, you know, these cards that keep moving around. And really, the machines are about 12,000. The contract for maintenance is about 2,000 a year. So most of the things aren't going to go anywhere near a quarter of a million.
Fine. Yeah, it's just a safeguard for something unusual, large. And who knows what the next legislative session will do. So, you know,
And also, if you delegate it to the executive director position, as I have them or complete them or whatever, I can certainly let the board know at that time as well,
sure.
you know.
Okay, so can we vote to approve resolution 17 with?
Yes,
the-
with the following amendments, the expiration date of October 26th, and a limitation of $250,000 contract amount. I think that's, you could vote to approve that. We just have to amend it, put it in the Dropbox.
That's fine. Yeah, once it's amended, I can sign it, but we can,
Yep, and you can, I would probably ask the board for sign it.
okay. So the vote will be to approve resolution 17 with those two amendments, as well as authorizing me to sign it once amended. Any other debate needed? Okay, let's take a vote. So in the affirmative will be to approve resolution 17 with those amendments, for me to sign it. So Ms. Bigmore,
Aye.
Chief March,
Aye.
Ms. Van Boyington,
Aye.
Mr. Hanslip,
Aye.
and I as well. So that's done, and I think that takes care of item B.
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, we now have a bunch of requests for removals from the exclusion list. So let's take them in order. Patron A, this is one that we had asked for some additional details on back in August. You can see the last, shows up as the last item for me in the Dropbox. Some additional information. So, you know, gives a little color. This person's been at casinos in other states without any issues. Looks like they're back in Maine, at least part-time. And would like to go back to the casinos. So, anyway, any comments, questions? Fine approving this. So I'll ask for a motion if anyone wants to make a motion to approve the request for self-exclusion A to be removed from the self-exclusion list.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all right. Take a vote. Ms. Bickmore,
Aye.
Chief March,
Aye.
Ms. Van Boyington,
Aye.
Mr. Hanslip,
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Patron A will come off the self-exclusion list. All right, patron B is a new one. And they, you know, fill out the application, looks like completed the interview with Dad Care, and you can see there's a letter, some background, so checks the boxes, in my opinion. Anyone need to discuss anything? Okay, so anyone want to make a motion to approve the request of self-exclusion B for removal from the self-exclusion list? Give it to Ms. Bickmore.
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Van Boyington will second. Let's take a vote. Ms. Bickmore,
Aye.
Chief March,
Aye.
Ms. Van Boyington,
Aye.
Mr. Hanslip,
Aye.
aye as well. Okay, so patron B will come off the self-exclusion list. Patron C, yeah, and you have the application. Lori Manson signed off, conducted the reinstatement session. we do have a letter, explaining some of the circumstances, so. Again, completed everything I think we've asked for. Any discussion needed? Okay. I have a motion to approve the request for self-exclusion, C, to be removed from the self-exclusion list. Yeah, you want a second?
Second.
Okay.
I'm trying to give Jill a chance.
Let's take a vote. Ms. McMore,
Aye.
Chief March,
Aye.
Ms. Van Boynton,
Aye.
Mr. Hanslett,
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Patron C will come off.
And just a note, Mr. Chair, if I may, on the letter from patron C, just as work for the unit, there is a missing redaction. Name, so just make sure that's applied for.
Yeah, and just so the board knows, on some of these, like the ones that we get from Lori, if it's got like a signature panel in there or something, I can't redact it. So maybe going forward, I'll print it, redact it, scan it, and then put it back in.
Thank you.
One of the things that's also got the name and the title of it, one of the attachments.
Yeah.
Okay. C is coming off the list. Mallory, just making that clear. All right, last up, we have patron D. So you can see there's an email explaining some of the circumstances. Yeah, you can see just because of the way that the Dropbox signatures work, the name is on there.
Yeah.
So be it. So, any questions for patron D's application? Someone wants to make a motion to approve the request of self-exclusion D to be removed from the self-exclusion list. So moved.
Second.
We'll give it to Ms. Bickmore. All right, let's take a vote. Ms. Bickmore,
Aye.
Chief March,
Aye.
Ms. Van Boynton.
Aye.
Mr. Hanslett,
Aye.
and I as well. So self-exclusion D will come off the exclusion list. All right, with that, we have discussion, NVSEP, which is the National Voluntary Self-Exclusion Program. So is there someone here from
Yes. Several.
Zoom in person? Go for it if you want to. Thank you. Go out there.
Bring some slides. Pull those up, please. And while that's happening, I want to thank you all for allowing us to speak here today. This is a project that is really a collaboration between many states, many gaming regulators, operators, problem gambling councils, and a number of other stakeholders. And I'm really happy to be here today to talk to you about it. I brought a couple individuals who have a ton of experience in this field. And I'm going to sit down a couple times and let them speak and get back up and speak afterwards. So I'm going to start with Marlene Warner. She's the CEO of Massachusetts Council on Gaming and Health. And she's been traveling the country with me, talking to gaming regulators in a lot of states. And she's going to talk a little bit about the history of the program and why we're here today. So Marlene.
Excellent. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. Again, I drove up from Salem, Mass today. Thank you for the reprieve from the October crowds. So think about 10 years ago when actually it's very fitting that the Penn team is here. Penn opens their first property in Massachusetts. And I've been in my role I'm in my 25th year in Massachusetts. And probably a month before we started getting ready for the first casino property to open in Massachusetts, we started getting calls about self-exclusion. People were worried. People who were on exclusion lists across New England wanted to figure out how they could prepare for a new property to open. They knew that because we have the tight regional market that we have, they had self-excluded a property in Connecticut or here in Maine. They wanted to be able to make sure that they could do the same thing in Massachusetts. So at that time, we actually started to have those conversations, started to proceed with our own statewide program. I'm happy to tell you more about that if you're interested later. But what that did was we have a contract with the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, and we are able to we handle all the self-exclusions for them through a program on site at the 3 casinos, and now with sports wagering as well, called GameSense. GameSense Information Center is on site at casinos. But what we said was, it was clear that when people would come and do self-exclusions with us on site, and this continues to be true as of today, people are saying, now I have to go do X, Y, Z more casinos. We were also hearing about folks within the 12-step program, Gamblers Anonymous, who would literally take a newbie who had come into a meeting and drive them hours to properties across New England. Not the best thing when you've made a decision to make a pretty significant change in your life. So at that time, this was probably in 2016, 2017, we started to assemble folks from across New England, and we were so pleased that Director Champion was part of those early day conversations. And we got really close, but we didn't fully get there. And the reason we weren't able to get there is because we were trying to align all of the elements, but every state does it a little differently. So we eventually kind of gave up. Everyone went off and tried to do their own things in their own states. So about 3 years ago, Jonathan and I met, and he had this idea to run a national voluntary self-exclusion program. I'm not going to steal his fire and let him tell you more about the program, but it's something that, especially in the New England area, I think is really essential. Again, day in and day out, I'm talking to people on site at the casinos, through our VSE line, folks that are calling in from sports books who are really desperate. When they make that decision to gamble, you have usually a pretty small window to really, we call it kind of the intervention point to make a change. Otherwise, they can go right back into gambling and go back into further harm if that's the way that they're playing and what they're experiencing. So I would just say to you that Massachusetts Gaming Commission has already declared that they're going to move forward with this. And I'd encourage you all to talk to your counterparts in Massachusetts. But I just wanted to say that this, on the ground is something that we're really hoping to make happen across New England. So thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. If we could move 2 slides forward, please. Thank you. So ID Pair is my company. It started in 2022. I'm a former operator. I worked for an online gaming company. I launched retail brick and mortar sports books, online sports betting, iGaming, and kind of saw the same thing. People were either not using responsible gaming tools because there were gaps in their effectiveness across state lines or across operators, or they were using it and realizing it didn't do what they had hoped it would do. So I started this company to solve those problems. We are the technology behind the National Voluntary Self-Exclusion Program and the tribal-wide self-exclusion program. So very similar technology, but the way the data is handled with tribes is a little bit different, and very important distinction that tribal data stays with tribes and isn't transferred to states, but people can still self-exclude from tribal casinos. In terms of how we work directly with operators, regulators, legislators, and even universities to keep gambling sustainable. We are on a mission to provide people a straightforward way to self-exclude across jurisdictions, gaming types, and we empower regulators to see data much better within their own jurisdiction. If you could move to the next slide, please. So if we look at New England today, this whole self-exclusion was kind of set up in a way that as operators came online, as casinos launched, they needed a program to help people stop. But we didn't really think about the person. They're traveling, they're going from state to state. If Mainers stayed in Maine, we'd be fine. They'd be perfectly protected by self-exclusion, but that's not the case. There's New Hampshire Gaming, there's Vermont online operators, there's casinos in New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. So it's really challenging to actually get protection via self-exclusion. And I think one of the patrons who came off the list recently, if I remember correctly, last meeting, they had been traveling out of state to another casino, which probably wasn't their intent when they signed up for self-exclusion. I'm glad that they were able to figure out their issues and come off the list. But when people sign up, they're really just signing up to stop gambling. They're not signing up to stop gambling in Maine. If we could go to the next slide, please. So it's really important to say this isn't going to replace any state's program, and that's true in Maine also. This is something that's another doorway for people to get into the database in Maine, as well as the database in another state or another state. It's basically an onboarding ramp to all the different state programs. So nothing really has to change in terms of how the program runs or how it's enforced. It just gives people a way to get their information to the Gambling Control Board to be able to enforce with the licensees. If we could go to the next slide, please. As you can see from the picture here, people have options for what they want to self-exclude from. And in states like New York, as an example, that would not be the case because they have a one exclusion across all programs. In Massachusetts, they allow you to do sports betting or casino or both. So having the flexibility that currently exists within each state's program is maintained within the national program. People just get a selection, a menu of places they can self-exclude from. Next slide, please. Yeah, also important to say that people who are currently on the Maine exclusion list wouldn't automatically be opted into other state programs. They would have to come back and actually go through the KYC process and submit a new self-exclusion to go into a Massachusetts self-exclusion program. So there's no, people signed up for one thing, they agreed to that. That's what their language and their agreement says. Nothing is changing in the past. They have to come back and proactively sign up again. Next slide. And as Marlene mentioned, we're not changing any rules. We're just allowing people to get into your program as it is. So with your new updates you made to Chapter 13, everything is still as it is if you were to move forward with participating in the national program. So in some states, that means that we can't collect social security number. In some states, it means we can't collect driver's license, and all that remains in place. So the person will give their information, and only the information that the regulator can accept will be delivered to them. And looking at the map here, so it's been a couple years getting to this point, but we've gotten some significant progress in terms of geographical coverage. A lot of states that are not colored in here yet are in very advanced stages of joining the program. I just can't announce anything ahead of their processes completing, but we aim to have full coverage of all gaming states within 24 months. And New England is a very high priority area due to the geographical nature of the small states and the ease of travel between them. I believe a casino just opened in New Hampshire where the parking lot is in Massachusetts. So someone excluding Massachusetts can still park in Massachusetts to gamble, walk across the border and gamble there, and that's not helping anyone. So this tight market here is something we're really prioritizing as far as getting this going sooner than other regions. We're in 19 states, a lot of fantasy sports states as a starting point, and we're working on bringing in the casino sports wagering in those states. Tribal gaming in Wisconsin is going to be our first state that's tribal-wide. We're working directly tribe by tribe to get those going. We do have tribal gaming in New England, so that's been a focus as well. In terms of how we identify, make sure it's not a third-party signing someone up, we take a snapshot of someone's driver's license and a selfie verification video. So this is something that's done by a third party that does, financial transactions. If you buy a car through Carvana or other online dealers, it's the same process you go through to take a picture of your license and make sure that there's a live person in front of the device that's able to match the face from the license to the device. So it's all very secure compared to Now, in a lot of states, you actually just have to mail in a copy of your driver's license, which doesn't really prove that it was the person signing up. And then you have all sorts of issues later with people saying, it wasn't me, I didn't sign up, and I want to be off the list. So all this is done and all this is reported so that the regulators can see all the information they need to and they're allowed to see through their statute. In terms of cost, there would be no cost to the state of Maine. As in other states, we're going to talk directly and negotiate with the operators. This isn't true in every state. In some states, there is state payment coming directly from a gaming commission or Department of Health. But in Maine, we're planning to negotiate in good faith with the operators, somewhere between $5,000 to $25,000 per operator per year, based on the size of the operator and the complexity of their operation. That covers all the setup, the onboarding, training. They can all access the system and pull the records to match people on the property that have won a W2G jackpot. So everything is there to have a smooth self-exclusion program for operators and for the regulator. And just in terms of how this benefits Mainers, we're talking about 24/7 enrollment. You can do this anytime from anywhere. You don't even have to be in Maine. You can just open up the website, verify your identity, choose where you want to self-exclude, and that information is transmitted securely to the regulators. It reduces the cross-border gambling risk as we're adding more states. We hope to have full participation so that anybody who wants to self-exclude nationally can. If they want to leave, let's say, I don't know, one state where they go once a year and want to be able to gamble once a year, they can do so as well. There's very good flexibility for people, which will increase participation and just greater peace of mind for Mainers and their families as they're self-excluding. Oftentimes we've seen people self-exclude with family members. Their families are concerned about what this means for them and how they're going to still access gambling. This is a more secure way to get wider coverage. And with that, I will pass it to Jody Neely, who is on the Zoom. So Jody, if you wouldn't mind muting, and she's from the Lived Experience Advisory Panel.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm from the Lived Experience Advisory Panel. I've been going on my 17th, 18th year being free of a bet. So things like this are really important for me to come in and weigh in about. First, you probably know this, but anybody who is trying to be in recovery from gambling or reducing their gambling, it's hard. It's very hard. There's a lot of shame and stigma with it. And, I'm happy to see that the gambling field, the operators have evolved a little bit. A lot of it is thanks to COVID. When I self-excluded over 17 years ago, I had to go to all the casinos that I went to. There were none in Massachusetts. I would drive an hour and a half to Foxwoods or Mohegan, and I had to go individually into the offices and a long, elaborate program to self-exclude. That was really hard. Recovery is hard. And, happily, you have a remote, Massachusetts has a remote voluntary self-exclusion process, which is great because you don't have to have the fear of walking into a casino. Though not everybody is comfortable with technology and don't like the remote thing. So there still is sometimes people who have to go into a casino. And sometimes you've probably heard these stories. Voluntary self-exclusion isn't always voluntary. Someone does it. They're not quite ready to do it. You've had some people who are coming off your list. That's because they're in the moment. They've lost a lot of money. They're maybe in a really down place, so they self-exclude. Yay for them. But then, a few days later, because reducing gambling or going in recovery is hard, they think, well, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe I shouldn't have self-excluded. In Massachusetts, you self-exclude from one casino and you self-exclude from all. So that is really helpful. But, I can't go back to the casinos in Massachusetts, but I'll just drive across the border to Maine or New Hampshire or Connecticut. So the thing about the National Voluntary Self-Exclusion Program, which is so wonderful, is that it's the next step. Okay, first you have to go to the offices, you have to go to each casino, then you could go remotely often to each casino, or in Massachusetts, just once, which was great. But then you still have to go to Maine. You still have to go to New Hampshire. You still have to go to Connecticut. The National Voluntary Self-Exclusion seems to me to be the next step in the evolution of doing our best, given the exploding field of gambling. It's everywhere, to reduce harm, to give people sometimes their only recovery support, their first step. They're ready, the first step. So if they can have a nationally voluntary self-exclusion, then if they travel for business, and we get these people who call, say, hey, I travel all over New England, so I'm self-excluding in Massachusetts, I'm self-excluding in Maine, they get one-stop shopping. Who doesn't like one-stop shopping? So Maine, you already have some great resources. You have GamFin, you have eVibe, you have free treatment. So in my opinion, adopting this program would be the next step in enhancing your already good resources and helping those in Maine and beyond. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. And last but not least, Lori Manson from AdCare Education Institute of Maine will say a few words, and we'll wrap up after that. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So most of you know me, but for those who don't, I'm Lori Manson from Adept Educational Institute of Maine. AdCare, after 30 years of being called AdCare, changed their name to Adept as of July 1st. So we're all just getting used to it. So you still have 30 more years to call it AdCare if you want, so I don't care. But I'm the Problem Gambling Services Coordinator, and we are the nonprofit agency in Maine that has the contract with the Maine CDC to administer problem gambling services for the state of Maine. And as you've heard me whine many, many times, for the last 7 years, I've been the only person in that program. Now, something I'll tell you later is that as of today, I'm actually only 50% of that program, because we have a brand new person here today that is now working with me, but that's a whole other topic. I want to talk about the National Self-Exclusion Project. First of all, I'll give you a little bit of history. So in 2022, the Gambling Control Unit asked me to gather some information to help the board put together a reinstatement process. Some of you were here for that and some of you weren't. So I reached out to my partners in other states and said, hey, how do you handle reinstatement? So I gave Milt a report about that, and then the board discussed it and chose to go with the model that Massachusetts was using. So during that process, as we were finalizing getting that done, I was going over the process with the assistant AG at the time, and I said, man, if we're going to do reinstatement virtually, I really wish we could do self-exclusion virtually. It seems kind of not great that it's easier to come off the self-exclusion list than it is to get yourself on the self-exclusion list. And little did I know, she would, at the next board meeting, tell the board that to make online self-exclusion happen, all they needed to do was approve it. So at that meeting, I think it was December of 2022, the board approved that. And so we began also using Massachusetts model to do online self-exclusion services. So we had a contract with the Massachusetts Council on Gaming and Health to train me on how to get that all up and running. So in 2023, I started doing virtual self-exclusion as well as virtual reinstatement. And that has been a tremendous success. When it comes to casino self-exclusion, a lot of people still self-exclude right at the casino. I think it's because they've had a really hard day or a hard night, and they just are like, this is it, I'm going to self-exclude. But for the folks who go home and then later decide that self-exclusion is a great idea, I'm getting more and more of those calls all the time. So in the first year of online self-exclusion, I did 13 remote self-exclusion services. In 2024, I did 26. And so far in 2025, I've done 20. So that's a total of 59 casino self-exclusions that I've done remotely. Over that, then sports betting came online. And so I've done 35 sports betting self-exclusions. And so that's just, it's been extremely impactful to have an online option for people because they don't have to go like back to the casino or anything like that. And they feel, I think, more secure doing it from their living room or from their car. But I feel like this online, the virtual, the nationwide is the next development in self-exclusion for me. And the fact that you're revising the Chapter 13 rules to a universal self-exclusion form is also feeding into that as well. So what you would see if we did this is on the app is it would have Maine, and then it would have a checkbox for casino, it would have a checkbox for sports wagering, AEW, and fantasy. So people could choose all of those, or they could choose just one. They can make that choice, which is really important because it is voluntary. One of the things that's not great about the current situation is I'm not available 24/7. And I've actually approached one of my partners, that has overnight staff to see if I could get them to do self-exclusion, and they didn't have the capacity. So we still are not able to serve people who want to do that when I'm not available. The other thing that I'm hearing more and more, which was mentioned, is people will call me from Texas or Florida or something. And so I'll be doing the process with them and I'll see that their address is Texas. And I'll say, oh, I see that your address is Texas. Do you come to Maine a lot? And so that's the situation, is that more and more people who live in other states want to self-exclude in Maine because they either work here some of the time or they have a relative and they know they're going to be vacationing here. So think about what that's like. They're needing to do this in, every state they could think of. There also is occasionally someone who's just reached such a point with gambling that they're like, I don't even think I'll ever go to Maine, but I'm going to self-exclude there anyway, just in case. So this meets the needs of those people from out of state that want to self-exclude in Maine. It also, I'm assuming, meets the needs of Maine people who travel and want to self-exclude in other states. And so what you saw on that map is that obviously they can't do it in all 50 states now, but I think this is one of those projects that the more and more states that sign on, the more and more states are going to sign on. The fact that Massachusetts is now going to do it, I think is going to be huge. So self-exclusion, most of you really can't really understand what it's like to get to a point where you want to do self-exclusion, but it is a vital intervention for some people. It reminds me of one of the first reinstatement sessions that I did a few years ago. I was talking to the person as I was doing his reinstatement session, and they'll talk to me about what has changed. And he was a person from the Bangor area, and he was telling me his story, and he said, if it weren't for self-exclusion, I wouldn't have made it through that first year. Like, because of some family trauma and then just how hard the gambling addiction had been and the family dynamics. Even though he was getting counseling, it was the self-exclusion that really saved him that first year, because he knew he could not go into Hollywood because he's pretty well known in the area. So he was like, I'm not going to risk going into Hollywood and have that embarrassment of people that I know walk me out, or God forbid, a trespassing violation. So that kept him out of the casino for that first year, which was really critical in his recovery. And I'll never forget that story. I don't have any authority over self-exclusion in Maine, but I feel like I'm a really, let's call me an influencer when it comes to self-exclusion in Maine. And so I would like to see Maine become the next state that shows up on that map and offer this to people at the state of Maine. Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer that. But we would really appreciate your support on this initiative. And given the tight regional market and Massachusetts participation, I think it's a great time for Maine to consider being part of the National Self-Exclusion Program. Thank you. Yes.
Go ahead. Thank you. So I like the sound of this a lot, but I'm wondering what the process is to get off the list.
Sure.
Because at this point, everyone has to come back to this board, but that I don't think we envisioned having people from Texas or California or somewhere else having to submit something to this board.
Sure. And that's something that the board could decide how they want to handle out of state. I believe discussions in other states are that residents of that state could go through that process that they currently have. And if there's a large number of out of state, they would not require certain steps to be taken, but that would be completely up to the board to decide. We are able to help people come off the list, verify their identity, get their information to you for review. And if you decide that they should come off, we can remove them from the database, or not remove them, but update their record to reinstate it so that if an operator or yourselves look them up, you'll see the update to their record. So whatever your process ends up being, it can be supported by the technology. Sure.
Chief March.
What is the ask here? Is this a subscription service or what's the?
Basically, we would like to enable people to get into your state self-exclusion program through our website.
Sure.
So they come to our website, they select Maine, Massachusetts, wherever else they want, and they can actually have their information sent independently to each regulator so that they can have their information provided to the operators so that they can be have their self-exclusion enforced.
I got that. Is there a cost associated with this and who pays if so?
Not to the state, so we would discuss with the operators and negotiate with them a fee somewhere between 5,000 and 25,000 annually per operator per year to give them access also to look people up as they're winning jackpots and things like that, and have their image and their information in the database.
Right, that's the current model in other states. That's how that's funded.
As everything in this industry, it's a little different in every state. So in some states, that's the exact model. In other states, it is the Gaming Commission has funds to pay for it and has already agreed to pay for it. In other states, it's the Department of Health that has the funds. So we're just navigating and finding where the money is accessible and can come from as quick as possible to get the program live. So there's no one model, but yeah, we work within each state's framework.
Thank you.
Sure.
So here's my problem. It's, to me, it seems like a tax on all the operators, right? We're gonna now require everyone to pay some amount of money, not even dictated by us through some contract. I think what you need to do is get to the Maine CDC. Right, so far this year, just in 2025, earmarked for gambling prevention and treatment through sports wagering, they've got $450,000. So we're now in football season. So by the end of the year, we'll be 600, 700K annually the CDC gets. It seems like they should pay you whatever it is, 50, 100K. Great, and operate it for me, right? Like that, to me, that's Maine wants to do it, and I trust Lori, and Lori says this is something we should do. That to me is how it should be done, because the money's there, and it's going to keep coming there. If iGaming goes online, which we're going to talk about later, which in January, depending on what the governor does, you know, there's an earmark there for gambling prevention, addiction prevention and treatment. The casinos, despite all the tax revenue they generate, the legislature, infinite wisdom, has only put $100,000 a year towards it. That's another avenue, right? You get the legislature to say, we're going to put another 100K, right? Every year I go before the VLA committee and I say, you should put an increase into that with an inflation kicker, right? And then, great, hire you, or I don't know if there's other vendors who do this. To me, that's how it should go. If this is so valuable and to help folks, the state should be paying it from the gambling addiction prevention and treatment funds. Otherwise, we're just adding another cost to the operators who are already battling. I mean, essentially prediction markets will shutter sports books, right? I mean, why pay why have worse lines, right? Because of the regulations and the taxes. And if iGaming goes online, based on what I've read, you know, casinos are going to be hit hard. So to me, that's where you should be knocking on the door. How you do that, I don't know. I don't know how you access those funds, but it's a lot of money that's sitting there. And it seems like this would be a great use of it versus just running a bunch of ads, right, about call the 800 number. But that's just my thought. There's other board members. The other question I had is, who else does this?
So nobody's running a national self-exclusion program. There are vendors that do certain types of exclusions, whether it's for athletes or I think it's just for athletes. So there's no program that connects the dots between states. So we're unique in that regard, that we're allowing people to self-exclude in multiple jurisdictions at once.
What's the data, like the face, the data, all that? Where's that go?
So that goes to each regulator where the person signs up. We also store that in our Amazon Web Services servers. We do penetration testing with GLI. We do third-party SOC 2 auditing. So we secure that data. It doesn't go to any other purpose other than self-exclusion.
You don't sell that to advertisers or something?
No.
Okay.
Is it, so if I'm in Maine and I self-exclude and I say I don't want to be able to go to Connecticut, but Connecticut doesn't adopt this, or the casinos in Connecticut don't adopt it, it doesn't prevent me
That's
from
correct.
going, correct?
That's correct.
So you need large scale buy-in for this to be effective.
Correct.
To understand.
And from the map, you can see we're getting there. We have a number of conversations that aren't reflected on the map that are in the final stages. So I'm confident we'll have really strong representation in New England and strong representation nationally. We just have to go through the steps in each state.
So all those states that were blue that are fantasy, I can exclude from casinos in that states or just fantasy?
Just fantasy in those states for now. There are many of those states that are discussions are gravitating towards the casino, sports wagering, lottery even. So many different products.
Yeah, I mean, the other issue is this board doesn't regulate all of everything, right? So sports wagering is a separate entity. We have casinos and advanced deposit wagering. Fantasy sports is separate. So you're in this interesting period where there's sort of a question as to who's in control of what, right? We just redid chapter 13, sort of brings everything together. But even if we said, yep, let's do it, we don't have the power to tell sports betting operators to go buy this. We don't have the power to tell fantasy operators to go do it. So that's why I think getting in front of the Maine CDC is the way to go, because they've got the money, and so they could say, we're gonna do this. Right? We'll have this program. And that's my struggle with it. Even if we want to do it, it's casinos and ADW. That doesn't really help the folks who are needed for sports betting or fantasy.
And just to address that in other states, so for example, in Massachusetts, similar situation, the Attorney General regulates fantasy, lottery does lottery, MGC does casinos and sports wagering. So, in situations like that, it's basically like we're working in 3 different states. We have to go and talk to each entity and work on getting them on board. So it's a giant jigsaw puzzle. We're making significant progress, and every piece that we put in makes the next piece a lot easier. So that's what the momentum effect kind of has as we get new states on. Their neighbors are interested. They're in other sports and other gaming are interested. So it's all coming together that way.
Yeah, maybe it's an antiquated way of thinking, but we have a certain process for coming off the list. I have no idea what other states do or what they require. So that gives me pause too. If somebody says they want to exclude in Maine, in theory, they should come through Maine's process to get off of that list. Versus us trusting what some regulator does elsewhere. But
Right,
Maybe
that would
the trend's moving. away from
right,
that.
that would still be the case. They would have to complete the reinstatement in Maine. They wouldn't be grandfathered in from another state's process. So everything that you have currently would be factored into the way this fits in.
Can I join Jonathan up there for a minute?
Sure.
So, I think when it comes to reinstatement, nothing would change because I don't think we're gonna talk about, I don't think it's gonna be 500 people from Texas that I need to do reinstatement sessions. So the reinstatement session process that we currently have would work if it's, you know, a dozen or less people a year. So it would stay exactly the same, I think. When we first, because Jonathan and I and Marlene have talked about this on occasion, on and off over the past couple of years, when we were first talking about it, I was thinking that the money would come from CDC, and I think that is still a possibility. But what role does the board play, though? Do you have to approve anything before? Like, do they have to become like an approved vendor?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's something that either way, whether we did it or if the state's gonna say you have to do it, it'd probably have to go out to a bid. I have no idea.
I can't speak to funding from the
Yeah.
CDC, but the chapter 13 would have to be amended again. There's, to speak to this process, especially if it's gonna supplement or clearly supplant the current process for getting on the list, because the rules are very clear, the form.
Yeah.
There's a lot of language that would need to be amended for this to go forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the CDC said, we got these funds, we're gonna enter into a contract, then I think the back end would be that the board recognizes that this list has the same weight as, the current list, right? Such that if there's a violation, it's enforced the same way. But in terms of who makes the decision as to what vendor is chosen and how much that costs, that's not up to us.
So is securing a decision on money the next step, and then it would move here?
Yeah, I mean, if this works and is a service to people and would help, then I'm all for it. But one, I don't think that we should be making the operators pay for it. Two, this room can't make fantasy sports and sports wagering operators pay for it, even if we wanted to. So it'd be nice if, let's say it's the CDC, and I don't know if it is them, but from that pot of money, yeah, we're gonna dedicate X amount of money for a contract with ID pair. Simple changes for us that, put that in chapter 13 and say, we have a form, we have this project, or a subpart, whatever. ID pair, NP, SVP. I think that's how it would go. I'm sure there's some administrative burden on everybody, but we're moving towards digital and all that stuff anyway. But that's my concern. Just we're already operating, in a very highly taxed environment. This is just another tax on them.
But recognizing the concerns is, part of the business development planning around how to make this work. We have clearly a patchwork of different approaches to addressing this, and you're offering up a progressive solution towards tying that together. I applaud that. I think that makes good sense. Yeah, finding the right path of revenue to fund it, because it's not free. It's going to cost something to maintain this. Is worth pursuing.
Yeah, I think Lori, the CDC could come before us and say, we've got this, we want to do this. And then the board could vote and approve
Support of it. Yeah.
that we support. Great.
Right.
Then they got to go to Milk, get sports wagering and daily fantasy. They have to go to lottery and get lottery, right? It's different factions, but that's an easy path to meet. And whether it's just NVSEP, whether there's 3 vendors they want to, whatever. I'd be supportive of amending chapter 13 to include it. But I think that's who should be paying.
Great, so we will have some more conversations and report back. So thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, moving along, I had asked the casino operators to provide us, and they did, both written, a lot of written materials to understand the impact of the iGaming bill that is currently pending. So we've talked about this a number of times. It passed the legislature. It is sitting on the governor's desk, which she'll have a few days when they go back in session in January to sign it, veto it, I guess let it become law without signature. I don't, there's a whole bunch of processes, but it's up in the air. And so I wanted to be better educated as to what the impact is, and then we can discuss as a board if there's anything we can or want to try to do about it. So there's folks from both properties. I don't know, and if anything you want to say that outside of your materials, which are great, provided us good numbers, but who wants to go first? No? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Morning, Chair Silver, Director Champion, members of the board. Mark Listella, General Manager, Hollywood Casino Bangor. Also want to introduce Justin Carter, our Senior Vice President of Regional Operations, Chris Soriano, our Head of Compliance for Penn Entertainment, joining us today. So I thought I'd take the opportunity just to go over the document and highlight some key points as discussed. So first and foremost, while Penn Entertainment does support the legalization of iGaming in Maine, the current bill does not include a requirement that all online licenses be tethered to the bricks and mortar casinos. There is also no consideration in the current bill for branding iGaming platforms to align with the existing casino brands in use at the state of Maine's facilities, nor is there a requirement of common ownership and or cross-marketing arrangements with the property to promote the bricks and mortar industry. As I'm sure you know, our company, Penn Entertainment, invested approximately $140 million to develop and open the first casino in Maine, Hollywood Casino Bangor, in 2008. Today, Hollywood Casino Bangor is one of 43 properties that Penn Entertainment operates across 20 jurisdictions, and we're incredibly proud to be a significant economic engine for the state of Maine and Penobscot County. We've paid approximately $470 million in taxes to the state of Maine and city of Bangor in that time. In addition, we have provided more than $190 million in wages and benefits to our team members and invested over $39 million in capital improvements, with millions spent supporting Maine businesses. We've hosted more than 2,500 harness races since 2019 that distributed over $13 million in purse money, supporting hundreds of farm and the equine industry throughout the state of Maine. Hollywood Casino currently employs approximately 300 team members, offering competitive salaries and wages and a robust wellness and benefits package, which includes traditional benefits and numerous additional programs such as tuition reimbursement and workforce training partnerships. Penn Entertainment and Hollywood Casino Bangor also happily and proudly support dozens of worthwhile charitable organizations, including but not limited to the following: Bangor Homeless Shelter, Bangor YMCA, Maine Veterans Project, Travis Mills Foundation, Red Cross, Sarah's House, Bangor Humane Society, and many other local causes. In the event of this and other alterations to the gaming landscape occurring without being tethered to the bricks and mortar casinos, the following results may transpire. Number one, significant loss to the state of Maine, revenue loss to the state of Maine. Elimination and reduction of several job opportunities affecting Mainers directly. Reduction in opportunities for further capital investment, limiting further development of our bricks and mortar facility, and having a negative impact on the tourism within the greater region. The reduction in tax revenue will limit further opportunities to drive the local financial support generated by these tax dollars, which would have a negative impact on the Bangor community, causing the progress facilitated by Hollywood Casino over these years to regress. Reduction in our ability to support local charities and hinder all current philanthropic initiatives that we currently conduct. This again would have a very, very far-reaching impact, negative impact on Mainers. In closing, there is an opportunity for thoughtful iGaming legislation to create a new tax revenue stream for the state of Maine that is incremental to that created by the current bricks and mortar Maine operators. This bill, unfortunately, does not take these considerations into account, which is anticipated to result in the mentioned impact points. Thank you very much.
Matt Gallagher, General Manager at Oxford Casino. Unlike my friends over at Penn Gaming, we are vehemently opposed to any iGambling. Don't confuse it with gaming. This isn't about playing Candy Crush on an iPhone. This is about having a casino on every cell phone. 1, 2, 3. You could be gambling in the middle of this meeting. We believe that through research conducted by the Innovation Group, we'll see roughly a 15 to 16% decrease in revenue immediately, and potentially 18% decrease in jobs. And Oxford Casino was created for jobs. We have 350 families currently working at Oxford Casino. This jeopardizes every one of those. It's not just Oxford County, it's Cumberland County, Androscoggin County. We touch the entire state. And I could continue to go on with this, but if you have any questions, Chair, board members, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, and I assume, without looking at the underlying data, I mean, the study you cite, the impact report, I mean, this looked at a bunch of states.
Yes.
That went online. Does any other state have an iGaming approach where it's the casinos, not that it has to be tethered, but that the casinos cannot even get a license? You guys know that? No. Because that, to me, is the problem. We can debate tethering or not, but it's just that you all don't even have the opportunity to get one. And that's what I don't understand. And it seems like there's no other state that does it that way.
Right.
It seemed like, let everyone go get one and compete. You all may disagree with that, but I'm just saying, that you're cut out. So the two ownerships groups, one wants, one doesn't, fine. That's your decision, but you don't even have the opportunity to do so. And it seems like any drop in revenue, even if it's 1%, let alone the 10% or whatever it may be, because the cascades are different, right?
Mm-hmm.
All your cascade recipients are going to lose money. No replacement mechanism. That seems like a big problem. Yeah. You think if it were to go live, how soon would you expect an negative impact?
Most likely fairly recent, very soon.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw some impact with sports betting, and it would not have the same impact as iGambling would.
Yeah. Any questions for casino representative? What would be, we don't make the law, right? We can't, but what, if anything, would be useful for the board to do?
I would say you can have a conversation with the governor on the veto. If you can have a conversation with state representatives, if that veto does happen to push back.
Yeah.
And that's where it's at now.
Yeah, interesting history, right? Sports bet, the original sports betting bill was vetoed, overridden in the Senate, failed in the House. So there's been appetites for doing such things. Okay. What sorts of jobs do you think would be cut?
I think you can see straight down the line. I think there is executive level jobs. I think there are entry level jobs and very good paying jobs, for instance, bartenders, beverage servers, table games dealers, slot attendants. Those are jobs that are potentially at risk.
Okay. So any questions, discussions from the board? So I've been, in front of the VLA committee. I've written some things on behalf of myself. One thought is to draft a letter or a resolution to next meeting, we could draft it, talk about it next meeting, to send to the governor as board about thoughts before she has to make a January decision. So if there's appetite for that, they do that. Whether it makes a difference or not, we're tasked with regulating the casinos. We see the tax money that comes in. This would absolutely have a negative effect on that. Whether it has a net positive for the state, I don't know. But that's sort of where I come out. So if other board members are interested, I could draft something, bring it to the December meeting, we can talk about it. And if you don't want to sign on, you don't have to sign on. If you do, you do, and then we can send it to the governor. I mean, that's my thought process with it. Certainly folks can talk to their state reps as well, but I think that based on the numbers of what you all submitted, it's a pretty big impact, negative impact if this goes through. So appreciate the data and info. Any other questions for casino reps? All right, thank you, Pam. So we'll just put an agenda on, or put an item on the December agenda. We'll discuss letter or resolution. I don't know. It's making a legal difference.
Probably not, but like under something.
Yeah, but I'll draft something up and we can workshop it. Whoever wants to sign on can sign on, and we'll get it in front of the governor before January. Okay. All right. Any other board business? Didn't you attend training or something? No. I saw you post something.
Oh, I do a lot of things. You mean outside of the Gambling Control Board?
No, there was some training in this room.
It was beyond a day ago. I might not remember. But
all right, maybe
I'll check my calendar here.
Slot machine training?
GOI training.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, I have my diploma right here. Oh, yes.
That's the last time I try to give you a softball to talk about.
I got cartoon music playing in my head. But anyway, the Maine Gambling Control Unit hosted here at the Department of Public Safety in this very building, hosted a Gaming Laboratories International University training entitled Slots 101. And board member Darcy Maine Boynton and I attended that, and it was illuminating. This is a very complex and fast moving, dynamic, high tech area of society. And it's something to keep up with AI, something to keep up with Facebook, and something to keep up with all of the technology involved in fair, equitable, and ethical gaming in this state. And it was a benefit to me, and I think I speak for Darcy as well, that we learned from it. We're grateful for having had the opportunity. And the diploma suitable for framing from SELI University. I don't know how many credits come with this, but I'm going to add it to my transcript at the University of Maine. Thank you.
Yeah. Any public comment? Anyone in the room? How about on Zoom? Oh, go ahead, Laura.
Oh, sorry. If I could, I would just like to take a moment to introduce James Syfax. James will be working at Adept as the problem gambling prevention coordinator. So this is literally his, second day in May?
No, I'm coming up on 24 hours. Per month will be my first 24 hours in May. Coming from Ohio, where I held a similar position, working, bringing the voice of prevention to I was the only non-state employee working with the Ohio Lottery Commission, the Casino Control Commission, the AG's office, and the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services on our statewide prevention campaign. So excited to be here. Prior to that, spent about 6 or 7 years working in school-based mental health services. So these stuffy meetings are a walk in the park. I look forward to many more of them.
Welcome.
Welcome to Bay too.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to mention that in Ohio, James was involved in multiple award-winning problem gambling prevention initiatives. So it's very exciting to me. I was thinking I was going to find a really good Maine person, probably working in substance use prevention, and need to train them on gambling. I had hired James a few years ago to do a cryptocurrency webinar for us. So when I got his LinkedIn message, I applied for that position at Adept. I almost passed out. But it's really a fantastic development for me.
Well, welcome. As you know, Lori's been carrying a big load by herself, so I'm sure she's glad to have you. And certainly, if there's things that we should be doing or other programs, you bring it to our attention. So, all right. Any public comment on Zoom? All right. Seeing none. Currently, the next meeting is scheduled for December 16th. We'll obviously, like this one had to be pushed back a week. If it changes, we'll let everyone know. Can't be in this room. We'll let you know. There's a snowstorm, whatever, civil war, who knows? We'll just, we'll take it as it comes. So I usually try to make that decision a week in advance. But, check the website and they'll keep everyone informed. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
But before you do, we'll take like a 5-minute break. So everybody grab another donut. Don't leave them here. I don't eat sweets. I run around here like a chicken. But, we'll take 5-10 minutes and then we'll reconvene and go over this whole major situation. Okay, thanks. Thank you, sir.
Wasn't like an actual explosion.
Terminology.
Words matter.
All right.
I'm going to move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, let's take a vote. Bickmore.
Aye.
Keith March.
Aye.
Ms. Van Boyington.
Aye.
Mr. Hanslip.
Aye.
I am an aye as well. So 10:54, we are adjourned.